Exposed, the financial fraud that shattered my in-laws' golden boy. It was a chilly, misty Tuesday evening in suburban Chicago when I finally decided to pull the pin on the grenade. We were sitting in the dining room of my in-laws' sprawling, multi-million-dollar home in Naperville. The chandelier was gleaming, casting warm, golden light across a table set with fine china, sterling silver, and crisp linen napkins. To anyone looking through the window, we looked like the picture-perfect, upper-middle-class American family. But inside, I was suffocated. I was drowning in an ocean of deliberate lies, public humiliation, and calculated betrayal. My name is Sarah. For 3 grueling years, I had been married to Mark. Mark was a quintessential golden boy. He was charismatic, tall, worked as a senior financial advisor at a prestigious firm downtown, and was worshipped by his mother, Evelyn. Evelyn was the kind of woman who wore cashmere sweaters year-round, ran the local country club committee with an iron fist, and treated family reputation like a holy crusade. To Evelyn, her son Mark could do no wrong. He was brilliant. He was flawless. He was destined for greatness. And then there was the money. About 18 months into our marriage, Mark and I decided to buy our first home together, a lovely starter place in a quiet neighborhood. Around that same time, Mark suggested we open a joint investment portfolio alongside a personal savings account to pool our assets. I worked as a mid-level project manager for a tech firm. I made solid, hard-earned money, $68,000 a year, and I had built up a very healthy nest egg of $95,000 left to me by my late grandmother. Mark assured me, with his winning smile and smooth corporate voice, that as a professional financial advisor, he would manage our combined funds. "Trust me, babe," he'd say, kissing my forehead. "I do this for high-net-worth clients every single day. Let me build our future." So, I trusted him. I signed the paperwork, transferred my grandmother's inheritance, and set up automatic monthly transfers of $1,500 from my paycheck into our joint account. 6 months later, the calls started. Debt collection notices began showing up in the mail. At first, they were discreet envelopes addressed solely to Mark. But soon, official-looking letters arrived marked past due, overdue, and intent to foreclose. When I confronted Mark, he laughed it off, waving his hand dismissively. "Oh, it's just a glitch with the bank's online system, Sarah," he said, not even looking up from his phone. "I'm handling it. Don't worry your pretty little head about it." Then came the real blow. Our mortgage application for the house was flatly rejected. The loan officer called me directly, sounding awkward and deeply uncomfortable. He told me our credit score had plummeted into the low 400s. He mentioned multiple defaulted personal loans, unpaid credit card balances exceeding $70,000, and a series of missed payments spanning over a year. I was horrified. My heart stopped. I immediately logged into our joint investment portal, the one Mark had set up. The account balance was zero. My $95,000 inheritance gone. My monthly contributions gone. Everything I had saved wiped clean. When I confronted Mark in our living room that night, hyperventilating and holding the printouts, he didn't apologize. He didn't break down. Instead, his eyes went cold, and he did something far worse. He panicked, and he created a lie. Before I could even process what was happening, Mark called his mother, Evelyn. He didn't tell her the truth. Oh no. He told her that I had a secret, severe gambling addiction. He told Evelyn that I had spent the last year secretly betting on online casinos and sports apps, blowing through our house down payment, liquidating his personal life savings, and ruining his credit. He claimed he was desperately trying to save me from my addiction, covering my debts out of the goodness of his heart, because he was a loyal, devoted husband who loved his troubled wife. Evelyn believed him instantly. Why wouldn't she? Her perfect, golden boy son could never be a failure. It had to be the outsider. It had to be me. From that exact moment, my life became a living nightmare. Evelyn turned into a ruthless executioner. She didn't call me to ask if I was okay. She didn't ask for my side of the story. She began treating me like a toxic, parasitic degenerate who was dragging her pristine family into the mud. At every Sunday family dinner, Evelyn made it her personal mission to humiliate me. She would dramatically hide her purse whenever I walked into the kitchen. She'd make passive-aggressive comments in front of Mark's brother, David, and his wife, Clara. "It must be so exhausting for you, Mark," Evelyn would sigh, patting his hand sympathetically at the dinner table. "Staying with a woman who lacks basic moral discipline. A woman who gamble away her family's future. It's truly noble of you not to divorce her on the spot." She started leaving pamphlets for Gamblers Anonymous on my seat at the dinner table. She invited financial planners from her country club to family gatherings, seating them next to me, explicitly asking them in front of everyone, "How do you legally protect a young man's assets from a spouse with an uncontrollable addiction?" Mark just sat there. He'd sip his red wine, nod solemnly, and say, "Mom, please, let's not talk about Sarah's condition right now. She's trying. I'm standing by her." He literally played the long-suffering martyr, gaining endless praise and pity from his family, while throwing me to the wolves. When I took extra freelance shifts to rebuild my lost savings, Evelyn told the family I was probably off at the casino. When I lost weight from pure, unadulterated stress, she told relatives I was suffering from the physical toll of a secret, chaotic lifestyle. Worst of all, Evelyn started a family intervention committee. She sent monthly emails to Mark's entire extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, detailing my supposed reckless financial disease. She even set up a dedicated family account, urging relatives to donate money directly to Mark to help cover the financial damage Sarah inflicted on him. Meanwhile, I was quietly doing my own investigation. I hired a private forensic accountant, using money I borrowed secretly from my best friend, Maya. It took 3 agonizing months, but Maya's contact dug up everything. Bank records, wire transfers, trading logs, tax documents. The truth was staggering. I didn't have a gambling problem. Mark had a massive, hidden, crippling addiction to high-risk option trading and day trading cryptocurrency. He had lost over $250,000 in 18 months chasing bad trades on margin accounts. To cover his margin calls, he had secretly taken out high-interest personal loans in both of our names, forged my signature on credit applications, and bled our joint account completely dry. He was hiding unopened luxury purchases in his trunk, buying designer watches to project success at his firm, while we were weeks away from total bankruptcy. And the unopened bank statements, the final demand notices? I found a hidden box of them buried deep under the spare tire in his trunk. He had let me take the blame for his financial ruin. He had let his mother publicly execute my character for over a year, watching me cry myself to sleep night after night while he took financial handouts from his own relatives. I didn't say a word. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I made 3 copies of the complete 40-page forensic audit report, complete with certified bank statements, forged signatures, trade execution logs, and bank loan applications bearing Mark's social security number. And then I waited for the right moment. That right moment was tonight. The annual family dinner celebrating Evelyn's 65th birthday. The entire family was there. Mark's father, Richard, a quiet, stoic retired judge who usually stayed out of family drama. Mark's brother, David, and his wife, Clara. 2 aunts, an uncle, and, of course, Mark and Evelyn. The dinner had been going smoothly until the main course was served. Evelyn placed her fork down, looked across the table at me with a cold, pitying sneer, and cleared her throat. Now that we're all here, Evelyn began, her voice dripping with artificial sympathy. I think we need to discuss Sarah's progress. Mark tells me you've missed 3 of the support group meetings I scheduled for you, Sarah. We love you, dear, but this family cannot continue to subsidize your weakness. You're destroying my son. Mark put on his best sad puppy face, patting my hand baldly. Mom, please, not tonight. Sarah knows she has a problem. We're working through it. I looked at Mark. I looked at Evelyn. I looked at Richard, who was staring down at his plate, visibly uncomfortable. I smiled. It was the calmest, coldest smile I had ever worn in my entire life. You know what, Evelyn? I said, my voice echoing clearly across the dining room. You're absolutely right. We do need to talk about progress. In fact, I brought some documentation so everyone can see the exact numbers. I reached into my leather tote bag beneath my chair and pulled out 3 thick, spiral-bound boulders. Mark's face instantly drained of color. He froze, his wine glass hovering inches from his mouth. Sarah, what are you doing? He whispered, a sudden, sharp tremor in his voice. I ignored him. I opened the first boulder and began reading aloud, loud and clear, formatting every word so no one could mistake the truth. On March 14th of last year, $95,000 was transferred out of our joint savings account into an unverified crypto brokerage account under the name Mark Edward Miller. The room went dead silent. Between April and October, I continued, turning the page smoothly. 12 separate personal loans were opened, totaling $84,000. Here are the loan documents, complete with Mark's personal email address, phone number, and a forged signature of my name. Stop it, Mark suddenly shrieked. He slammed his hands on the mahogany table, rattling the glassware. Stop it right now. She's lying. She's crazy. She made those up. He lunged across the table, reaching frantically to grab the folder out of my hands. Before he could reach me, his brother, David, reacted. David reached out, grabbed Mark by his collar, and shoved him hard back into his chair. Sit down, Mark. David barked. Let her talk. Evelyn was trembling, her hands clutching her pearl necklace. Sarah, this is outrageous. How dare you attack my son with fake papers at my birthday dinner? They're not fake, Evelyn, I said calmly. I picked up the second boulder and tossed it directly across the table, right into the lap of Mark's father, Richard. Richard, the retired judge, put on his reading glasses. His face was unreadable as he flipped open the cover. I kept reading. Here are the trading execution records showing a loss of $142,000 in high-risk options trading over 6 months. And here, on page 22, are the bank transfer records showing the $12,000 in cash donations Evelyn collected from relatives, transferred directly into Mark's personal trading account to cover his broker margin calls. Silence fell over the room like a heavy, suffocating blanket. The only sound was the rustle of paper as Richard flipped through the certified financial statements. Richard's eyes scanned line after line. Bank seals, certified audit signatures, transaction IDs, account numbers. I watched Richard's face transform. It went from mild irritation to deep confusion to pure, unadulterated fury. The color drained from his cheeks, leaving him ghost white. His jaw clenched so tight I could hear his teeth grinding. Richard, Evelyn stammered, her voice cracking, losing all its typical authority. Richard, tell her to stop. She's trying to humiliate our boy. Richard didn't look at her. He slowly placed the folder down on the tablecloth. He looked up, turning his eyes toward Mark. I had never seen a father look at his son with such utter, absolute disgust. Mark, Richard said. His voice wasn't loud. It was low, raspy, and dangerously steady. Is this your signature? Mark was sweating profusely. Beads of perspiration were dripping down his forehead, soaking into his starched dress shirt collar. Dad, look, you don't understand. The market was volatile. I was trying to make us rich. I was going to pay it all back. Is this your signature? Richard roared, slamming his fist onto the table so violently that a water goblet overturned, spilling water across the white linen. Mark flinched, shrinking back into his chair like a terrified child. Yes, he whimpered, barely audible. Yes, it's mine. Evelyn gasped, clutching her chest. Mark, no. You told me she spent the money. You told me she was a gambler. He lied to you, Evelyn, I said, looking her dead in the eye. He lied to protect his precious golden boy image. And you were so eager to hate me, so desperate to believe your son was perfect, that you helped him torture me for a whole year. Evelyn's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. For the first time since I had met her, the great, untouchable Evelyn was completely speechless. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with horrified realization. She looked around the table, but no one would meet her gaze. David was staring at Mark with disgust. Clara had her hand over her mouth, shaking her head. I stood up from the table. I picked up my purse and my coat. Mark scrambled out of his chair, stumbling over his own feet, trying to grab grabbed my arm. Sarah, please, wait, we can fix this. I'll get help. I'll go to therapy. Please don't walk out. I pulled my arm back, stepping out of his reach. Don't touch me, Mark. You destroyed our marriage. You destroyed my credit, and you let your family treat me like garbage to save your own skin. We are done. I turned and walked toward the front door. Mark tried to follow me, shouting my name, but Richard's voice cut through the house like a thunderclap. Mark, leave her alone and sit your ass down. I stepped out onto the porch, breathing in the crisp, cool autumn night air. For the first time in 18 months, my chest didn't feel constricted. I could finally breathe. Behind me, as I walked down the driveway to my car, I could hear the muffled sound of Richard shouting, Evelyn sobbing hysterically, and Mark desperately trying to make excuses that nobody was buying anymore. I got into my car, locked the doors, and sat there for a moment. My hands were shaking slightly, but I wasn't crying. I felt an overwhelming, incredible wave of relief. My phone immediately began buzzing in my purse. Text messages were popping up left and right. David, Sarah, I am so sorry. I had no idea. If you need anything, let us know. Clara, you were incredible tonight. I'm so sorry we didn't see through his lies sooner. Even Richard sent a message 10 minutes later. Sarah, drive safe. I am deeply ashamed of my son. You will have our full cooperation with the lawyers. I didn't reply to any of them right away. I put my phone on silent, backed out of the driveway, and drove away from Naperville. I stayed at Maya's apartment that night. We opened a bottle of wine, sat on her floor, and I laid out the rest of my plan. I wasn't just walking away, I was securing my freedom. The next morning, the fallout officially began. At 7 in the morning, Mark was knocking on Maya's door. He looked like he hadn't slept a single second. His suit was wrinkled, his hair was messy, and his eyes were bloodshot. Maya opened the door just enough to look at him. Get off my porch, Mark, or I'm calling the cops. I just need 5 minutes with my wife. Mark pleaded, his voice cracking. Sarah, please. My dad froze my accounts. He's forcing me to step down from the firm. My mom is having an actual panic attack. Please, just talk to me. I didn't even get up from the couch. Tell him to talk to my lawyer. I called out quietly. Maya smiled, nodded, and slammed the door right in his face. Over the next 2 weeks, the collapse of Mark's constructed reality was total and absolute. Richard, true to his word as a former judge, did not protect his son. He forced Mark to confess everything to the extended family, sending a formal retraction email to everyone who had received Evelyn's original slanderous messages. Richard personally wrote me a check for $95,000 out of his own funds to reimburse my stolen inheritance, stating in a letter that he refused to let his family profit off that. Evelyn was completely broken. Her social standing in her country club circle was severely damaged when rumors spread about what her son had done. She called me once, sobbing uncontrollably, apologizing profusely, begging me not to press criminal charges against Mark for forging my signature on loan documents. I didn't answer her calls anymore. I let my attorney, Mr. Vance, handle all communication. Mr. Vance was a bulldog of a divorce lawyer. When he filed the divorce petition, he included the forensic audit, the forged loan documents, and affidavits from Mark's brother and father. Faced with overwhelming evidence of financial fraud and marital misconduct, Mark's lawyer advised him to settle immediately to avoid public criminal prosecution. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. I received a clean slate of our remaining liquid assets, full reimbursement for my lost funds, and complete absolution from any of the fraudulent debts Mark had accumulated in my name. Mark had to sell his sports car, move out of his luxury apartment, and take a low-level analyst job in another state after resigning from his firm. His golden boy crown was gone forever, replaced by the stark, undeniable reality of his own actions. As for me, I moved into a beautiful, sunlit apartment in downtown Chicago. My credit score has been fully restored. I got a promotion at work, and for the first time in years, I feel completely secure, independent, and at peace. Sometimes, when I'm sitting on my balcony, watching the sunset over the city skyline with a cup of coffee in my hand, I think about that Tuesday night in Naperville. I used to think keeping the peace was worth suffering in silence. I used to think holding a marriage together meant taking the blame for someone else's sins. Now I know better. Truth isn't just power. Truth is freedom. And standing up for yourself, reading the facts out loud when everyone expects you to stay quiet.